Shabbat Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. Well, the stories of the birth rate is coming out again, and we know the birth rate is down, and it's even down in our group. But you know what? I think it is intended for us to not have so many babies in these final days. And we know where the Gentiles stand. The Gentile, this is retribution. It really truly is on them. But here's the phenomenal thing, y'all. There are a lot of people that are saying they don't think the low birth rate is such a bad problem. They're fine with it being low. And it's not just people that look like us, it's even people in the groups where they are lacking real badly and need to get their numbers up. We know they're never going to get their numbers up. That ship has sailed for the Gentiles. That is just wishful thinking. Y'all are not going to turn this thing around. Many of your women are not cooperating. They want careers over families. And y'all really pretty much did this to yourself. When you took us on as slaves and mistreated us for centuries, you pretty much put that curse on yourself. And that curse ain't going nowhere because one thing we know as a group, once the Most High rain a curse down on your head, it ain't going nowhere. Okay, we know that firsthand. It's not going away. You know, we're going to have our biggest amount of children in the kingdom. As far as this Gentile world, it don't have nothing good to offer our kids anyway. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this story. All right, let me share my screen. Shabbat Shalom to everybody in the chat. Please give me a one if you can see my screen. Thank you.
Okay, I just had to come on here really quick because I wanted to express something that you may or may not agree with, don't really care, but I just want to talk about it. So in America, they're talking about how low the birth rates are and blah, 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 about the birth rates. People aren't having babies, people aren't having babies. But then you have people who want babies intentionally, but are having infertility issues and can't afford how much it costs for us to have babies. I say us because I'm currently trying to have a baby. Currently ish. How about y'all pay for all the IVF and the IUI? I'm just saying, let's make infertility treatment free. That's one way to get people to have more babies because we want them. We're not talking about people who accidentally was like, oh, I ain't trying to have no surprise babies. We want the people who want to have babies. Why don't y'all just go ahead and pay for our fertility stuff? The government, that is. That's who I'm talking to.
America's catching on. The women are not having children. And now they're obviously doing what they'd always do, put the blame on the women. The New York Times has an article out today, which is titled Lower Birth Rates. And who are they blaming in the article? Women, obviously, and not the society and the environment, the government, and everything else that factors into why women are choosing to wait to have children. Not when they stigmatize the women who are having children out of wedlock. Teenagers campaign for teenagers to stop having children, and all these things, especially for Black women. And all of a sudden, that's a problem because this is 25% since 2007 in birth rates per year. Well, maybe you should consider the root of the cause instead of always constantly switching and blaming women. Their word, it takes a village to raise a woman, is not just limited to the family and the friends alone. It is about the society, the culture, the system, which includes the government and policies. If the support Maslow's law, hierarchy law, basic needs are not being met. How can women want to choose struggle? I mean, not how can. Why would women want to struggle over getting to a place where they're comfortable enough? Because having a child is not an easy decision. It's not something you take lightly. Children are going to be human beings that are going to exist in the world because now you cannot have your worker bees in the future. Now it's the woman's fault. Not what can we do? Not let's look at the system and how it has failed women. That's how the article should have been. What has the system done to fail women? And why are women choosing to have kids in their late 30s into 40s? Why 40-year-olds are more likely to have children than teenagers? Even that comparison is so stupid. That article just blew my mind. It's so stupid. Women are choosing stability. Women are choosing to want to bring children because you put the responsibility on women. So if a woman chooses to bring a child in when you're in a stable position in life, but that stability is hard to gain, that is not the woman's fault. That is the society, the government, and everyone else's fault for not helping. Women are working hard. Women are working. We're going to go to school. They're getting businesses, jobs, everything. But we're constantly creating things. There's no postpartum care for a woman after they have a child. The bill they send to a woman for having a child, for giving birth, is so astronomical. It puts women in debt. You fight against pre-K, 3K. You fight against free daycare. Anything that would be foundational and supportive in a woman's caretaking in order to support the child's well-being, it's a problem that you don't think needs to be addressed. But you want women to take on their responsibility of having children and caring for them and neglecting themselves in the process so that you can have worker bees in the future. In your time, so do better.
You hear a lot about the declining birth rate and how people are having less kids, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. You have to look at why. If people are having less kids because they don't need 9 kids to work on a farm to produce more crops, then that could mean and probably is a good thing. That means that people are more efficient in the economy and each person is producing more money. But if birth rates are declining because people see a hopeless future with skyrocketing house costs and environmental disaster, then that's probably not a good thing. But even in that case, in educated societies, people just tend to have less kids. They're less focused on quantity and they're more focused on providing a quality life for each of those kids. There are also just a number of other factors, like people just want to focus on their career. There's a lot more education around contraception. Don't be silly, wrap your willy. And just generally, women have more choice in their life than just being a mother. So yeah, it's really hard to pinpoint exactly why the birth rate is falling because there are so many factors. But if it falls just a little bit, it's not necessarily the end of the world.
It hurts me deep in my soul when I see women flexing about their contribution to the declining birth rate. You should feel empowered by that choice to not have children. But the birth rate is also declining because people can't have children. Your fertility is a reflection of your overall health, not your worth, your health. And our society is working with chronic stress, chronic inflammation, endocrine disruptors in everything that you own, chemicals, microplastics, heavy metals. We are under attack. All women should have the choice. But let's not celebrate the decline of the birth rate because that is not indicative of women's choice.
I see shit like this all the time. And my question again and again has been, why do people want people who don't want kids to have kids? I am genuinely curious. Something's not clicking. I don't get it. Why are you crashing the fuck out when women don't want kids? I was raised by someone who didn't want to be a parent. Guess what? Not fucking fun. And that same person, my father, his mother had 7 kids. Guess where she died? In a state fucking funded nursing home. No one took care of her. So the mentality of like, it's selfish to not want kids. Don't you think it's a bit selfish to only want kids so you have someone to take care of you when you're older? Now, I don't really give a shit why. It does not matter to me what reason someone has for wanting or not wanting kids. It's none of my goddamn business. Why do you think it's yours? And why are you fantasizing about someone's demise? They're gonna end up with the cats and a stop whining. Like, shut up. It's so weird to me.
You know, it's great seeing motherfuckers like Mike Lee complaining about the total fertility rate being so low. We don't even have the bare minimum needed to maintain the population. And just pinning it on how expensive it is to have kids is missing the point entirely. Yes, it's unbelievably expensive. Do you know the kind of stress you have to put animals under for them to not breed, though? They have to have no hope for the future of themselves or their offspring. There's concerns with the ability of our children to have clean air and water. Just climate change fears in general. There's the deteriorating quality of relationships. And a lot of that is driven by social isolation, which has its own causes. There's the constant threat of war. There's the instability of the political structure and leadership. It is the stripping of women of their bodily autonomy day after day, month after month. There's always a new attack on women's bodily autonomy. It's the exceptionally high maternal mortality rates we have in these here United States, especially if you're a Black woman. It is unbelievably high if you are a Black woman. People don't think their children are going to have a better life than they do. That's why they're not having them. They don't think they're going to have clean water. That's why they're not having them. It costs $20,000 to $35,000 a year just to have one. That's part of it too. To just pin it on one thing is so stupid. And both political parties have had a hand in maintaining this atmosphere. Republicans strip away the bodily autonomy and the rights of women, and they make it more expensive by giving yet another tax break to fucking boomers instead of helping young people start families. Democrats' only redeeming quality at the moment seems to be that they're not Republicans, and they don't do anything with power when they've gotten it in the past. No socialized medicine, no codification of Roe v. Wade into our Constitution. Yeah, people aren't having kids because of woke, Mike. Yeah, all right. It takes a lot of hope to have a child right now. That's what the problem is. People do not have hope, and you are doing nothing to provide them with it. You are doing nothing to provide for the happiness of our children. So why would we have them from the get-go?
What? The birth rate is still in decline? I find that hard to believe because I honestly thought that MAGA's efforts to reverse the trend in decline in birth rate would have been effective. I really thought that waging war on women's bodies and women's autonomy, an emphasis on trad-wife values and keeping women home pregnant, barefoot, and in the kitchen, then making it harder for married women to vote if they've had a name change, having a US president sitting in the Oval Office who was convicted of sexual abuse, a government that won't protect sexual abuse survivors, but actively protects the men who abuse them, setting up and populating detention facilities that separate mothers and fathers from their children, each day 12 children dying from gun violence in America, another 32 being shot and injured, active shooter drills in US schools, political leaders who say the only reason for women to go to college is to find a husband. I really thought all of those efforts by MAGA would have reversed the downward trend in the birth rate. I am actually so surprised that women didn't say, this is the world that I want to have children in. I'm shocked.
America wants babies, but they refuse to create a life in which it's okay to bring a baby into. So the experts say by 2030, more people will be dying in America than will be born. Everybody's all confused. And I'm like, I don't know why you're confused. Of course, more people are dying than are being born. We don't have health care. We don't even have real food. We don't have clean water everywhere. And we work people like rented mules until their bodies snap. America treats working people like disposable batteries. Run them till they die, then act shocked when nobody's left to replace them. See, people are stressed about money every single day. Rent, grocery, insurance, jobs that don't pay enough, but demand everything. That kind of stress don't just age you. It's going to shorten your life. And then they'll turn around and say, why y'all not having baby? Because who's bringing a baby into a system that feels like slow motion punishment? If America wanted more babies, it would be family friendly. Affordable health care, affordable housing, affordable food, a peace of mind. But see, rich folks don't actually want families. They want labor. They want a steady supply of low-wage workers. And now that pipeline is breaking. Their kids ain't planning to do the work, and AI cannot replace everybody. And now, suddenly, population decline is the problem. So I'm going to ask, are you guys having kids? And if you're not having children, what made you decide to not have kids? Because I already know it's not just one single thing.
Most people don't know, but the low birth rate coincide with the earth being literally destroyed. Collectively, we are all manifesting that more people shouldn't be here. So the universe slow down on sending souls in. That's why most people are not having kids. For every cause, there is an effect. We live in a law-based world, a law-based reality. We manifest individually and collectively. That birth rate ain't gonna be fixed unless we fix this planet. This planet is screaming, fix me. Everything is going haywire. This isn't right. I shouldn't be, if you've been following climate change, and I'm sorry if you don't believe it, you're a little bit too late to convince at this point. But people who understand and know what's going on know that this is the end. So if a ship is sinking, would you still load the ship with people? No. And the universe is seeing that, okay, what's the point of sending souls to Earth when Earth is literally 2 decades away from being literally gone? Is it 2 decades? 2 decades? Yeah, centuries a year, decade is 2 decades. I just came off a YouTube channel, Astrum Earth or something, ASTRUM Earth. He was like, I did not want to make this video. It's literally over. By 2100, planet is done. So, what do you call it? What I've noticed with this law-based system, you'd be like, that's not the reason why people are not having a lot of babies. Babies can come in. No, it gets to the point. It already gotten to the point where people are being pushed to the limit of like, you know what? Let me sacrifice that part of my life. I can't afford it. Stuff keep going up. It's like a balloon that's about to burst. So the universe is aware that this planet can't handle any more souls, and it's literally gonna send souls here to die, whether it's in a flood, a volcano, fault line cracking, all of that. We're literally gonna start having climate, refugees, literally. Because look, half of Jamaica got destroyed during the hurricane. That's the beginning. We're gonna see more Category 5's hurricane. The Philippines got slapped back to back with 2 Category 5 typhoons as well. Look, this is the end. Not today, but we're living in the last years, the last decades, the last century, literally. Yeah, the last century. We're in the middle of the last century. We're 25 years into the last century. We got 75 years. Yeah. Damn. You don't got a lot of time. The fuck? Yo. 2025? No. It's 2026. I meant to say 2040 to 2045. We're going to see drastic changes. Like, there's some days we ain't even going to be able to go outside.
Yeah, I don't know where this chick get her info from, but it sounds really maybe she need to rethink what she believes. So anyway, y'all, as you can see, there's a lot of people that don't see anything wrong with the fact that the birth rate is low. Yes, the Most High said for us to be fruitful and multiply. He was talking to us. He was not talking to Gentiles. And number 2, as long as these Gentiles are running things ain't even going to be right for your babies. They poison all the food. The water and drinks we have are tainted and got all kinds of crap in it. It's really not America's not a family environment. They let the capitalism overrun everything. This is why people aren't that's why when I listen to people on videos talking about relationships and this and that, this environment is really not for that. This environment is set up for rich people to make money and exploit the people that are not rich. That's all this whole country is. It's all about exploiting and enslaving somebody. That's why they got slavery still in the prison system. That's all it's about. You go to some job and some rich people at the top that owns the corporation is raking in all the money, and you're getting a salary that you can barely get by on. That's what this society is set up for. But for families, it never promoted the family. America promoted careers and making money. That was the top agenda for America. And now that the women are focused on those things, now they're upset that they're not producing enough babies. Well, which one do you want? If America was about families, they would have been promoting families the whole time, and they didn't. If they were about marriage, they should have been promoting marriage the entire time. They didn't do none of that. When I used to go in the work environment, these women, all they talked about was their career and making more money and the glass ceiling because they were trying to, climb the ladder in their careers. That's all they spoke about. Oh, um, that's it. And at one point they were even frowning upon women that were stay-at-home moms. Stay-at-home mom. They need to get out the house and work. I used to hear these, and you know who was making those comments? White women. The main ones they want to lay down and have babies now. They were the biggest ones making these statements on jobs I had. They were the biggest ones. Oh, you need a career. Oh, you need a education and get a career. That's how those women were talking on jobs that I was on. Now, I don't know how they were talking on jobs you were on, but that's how they were talking on jobs I was on. They were not concerned about no family. And yeah, many of them had husbands and children, but if you listen to the way they talked about money and their career and climbing the ladder and getting bigger positions, you would think a husband and kids weren't even there. And I'm not exaggerating. Mhm. Exactly. They promote LGBTQ. They promote like I said, careers, and they don't promote family. This society don't. That's why I'm not shocked that marriage is down among all the groups because it was never promoted. You know, children are down among all groups. That was never promoted. You know, and what did they used to say to us? Oh, y'all having all them babies. And they're telling us we're having all them babies while at the same time telling us we're 13% of the population. Well, it can't be both. We can't be having a bunch of babies and then stuck at 13%. Come on. So, but yeah, and if it was your intention on keeping the family together, then you should have done that. This country had ample time to promote family, and they still, even today, they still don't do it. They still don't do it. So I don't know what you are expecting out of the people, but in my opinion, the people are giving you exactly what you put out there: careers and money and having cars and homes and luxury items. That's what you promoted. That's what you're getting from the society now. Why are you complaining about the lack of children? That's what I want to know. Thaddeus Peterson, thank you so much for the super chat and your support for my channel. Too many problems in society to introduce new souls to this prison slash slave system. I wish someone would just flush the crap already. LOL. Yeah, I hear you. I feel you on that one. I definitely feel you on that one. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, what do you expect? Do you hear Donald Trump? He's the president. Do you hear him promoting family? They're not even promoting family. What they're trying to do is shut down or make it difficult for their women to go out and get the A word, but that's still not promoting family, y'all. It's not. And a lot of these women are repulsed by their own men and don't even want their children. If you go on and if you type in childless women, these women are so repulsed by the men, they don't want their children. They don't want to lay down and have their little brats. And I think that's another reason why many of these white supremacists are fired up mad because they know their women don't want their children and they're angry. They're mad. That's your problem. Fix your problem. But this is the environment you created and now you're not happy with it. That is all your fault. Y'all are the ruling class of people. So if things aren't exactly the way you want, don't look at anybody other than yourself. That's the way I see it. So y'all, Diane Crowder, thank you so much for your super sticker and support for my channel. So y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. I did not want to make this one a long one. We have the Bible study at 2:45. Some of you I know I will see there. If I don't see you, please enjoy the rest of your afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My next live is going to be on Cuba. Donald Trump is getting ready to take over the country of Cuba. And I just think it's so rotten. You know, I may not care for, I'm not gonna lie, I don't care for those Cubans. I met only one in my lifetime, and she was really an Afro-Cuban. The woman was darker than me, and she was my grandma's physical therapist, and I really did like her. She was very nice. She was very nice. She was Afro-Cuban, and her husband was Afro-Cuban. They were both dark-skinned. Very nice couple. Nicest people I ever met from Cuba. The white ones, I don't like them at all. And I don't care if they don't like me. I don't like them at all. So Donald Trump literally starved those people into submission. That's what he literally did. It's disgusting. It's sick. Those folks are in Cuba. They have no money, y'all. They have run, Cuba itself has ran out of money. People can't get food. The electricity is always off, and they're starving. So he pretty much starved those people out into submission. So we're going to get into that a little later, but y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, family.